Hey, what's up, friends? It's Chasta and Huey for 1077 The Bone. On the line with dear friends of ours, we have to remind ourselves we're actually doing an interview right now and not just catching up and chatting with Craig Locicero and Chris Kontos of Forbidden. What's up, boys?
Hey, what's up, you beautiful people?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah,
So great
what
to
isn't
see you.
up? Everything's
Everything is a shit show right now, but this is what makes me happy. These nice little conversations, these nice little distractions, and quite frankly, rock and roll has been a beautiful distraction from the fire that's just outside the door these days. So thank you for providing that for us. Like, honestly, you know what I mean? Just keeping it real. Like, this show at Great American is going to be real, like, wonderful life serum for people. You know, we need to just
medicine.
It is, man. You just need to like jump around, get sweaty with a bunch of people. Like, it's so great. So very excited. So, all right, we've got Forbidden, we've got Cynic, we've got Doomsday and Cultural Warfare. Did I get them all?
Yes.
You got them all.
Great American Music Hall. And it's, as we're filming it, it's tomorrow night. Whenever you see this, it will be Friday, the 29th, right?
May 29th.
Yeah.
May 29th.
It's great. It's a great lineup, too, because you got Cultural doing their Bay Area cool, thrash vibe with their own brand. And then you've got a little bit more of a hardcore, younger band with Doomsday doing their kind of thing. And then you've got the proggy, spacey Cynic. And then the good old guys sweating to the oldies.
I think it is a really good bill, but specifically Cynic was a spectacular find, and they're quite popular in the avant-garde death metal scene because Paul and Sean Reinhardt were in Death on the Human album. So, but I mean, the super musicians, and then, Sean has since passed away in the last few years, but Paul moved to the Bay Area. He's become a fixture here. I'm sorry, I can't say that.
You can.
You're going,
yeah. He loves it here. He's really studying the scene and like analyzing, like, we did Chris and I did an interview with him last week, him and his partner, and it's crazy how good of a musician and how astute he is, and really, like, he's a studier of human behavior, but he's an incredible guitar player, and I think everyone's going to be like, wow, that it's a real palate cleanser from the metal to what they do, which is just more ethereal, whatever you want to call it. And I love the lineup. As soon as he said he was available, I'm like, dude, you gotta do the show with us, because this is our third time we had to cancel it the first time because Norm had gallbladder issues. And like, it's just this is like, we're finally doing it. It's tomorrow.
Yeah. Thank God. That's finally back around.
Something I really love about the transplant thing, right? People who are from Florida, New York, Texas, whatever, and they've always heard the Bay Area thing, right? But then when they get here and they plant, they go, oh my God, I get it. Like, whoa, there is something in the water. And it's just it's kind of like, yeah, man, welcome to the vibe, and he really was, going off about that, how he just loves the energy, the camaraderie, the history of it all. And it's kind of like Murder in the Front Row, the documentary.
Oh yeah,
it really exposes that, like, that whole, if you can make it at Ruthie's Inn or in the Bay Area, you're set. And that's good for Slayer, good for Anthrax, good for Metal Church. Like, anybody said, we're doing shows, but the Bay Area set us in stone. Like,
I have to say, as an outsider coming in from, Southern Oklahoma, I moved here. I've been here 20-ish years now. But like, it's really important for people from here to understand how magical it is. I know that, they do, and you do, but it's like, there's so many wonderful things happening, and there's so many badass bands in these incredible venues. And that's why, Huey and I, we work really hard, and at Soundwaves with Dennis and everybody, like, we work really hard to support the shows here and to keep that culture alive and well. You
Yeah.
know, yesterday I just went out to the renewed Fab Mab and did an episode of Soundwaves TV, you know,
Right.
and looking at all that, like it's so, the culture here is so important. It's what makes it
is.
special. It's what makes people like me from other areas from Oklahoma to come out here, because there, you can never be bored. There's just too much badass stuff to go, you know, to get
Right.
into here.
Right,
Mm-hmm.
right, for sure.
I'm curious to see the new Mab. I know it's like a real venue now. Back when Chris and I used to go, it was just like a little footstep. Like the stage was basically like your front step of your house. You know, like there's nothing to divide you from the crowd. There was no separation. You could walk backstage and watch the band over here. You could.
It's not a lot
Yeah.
different. It's not.
Okay.
It's an
All right.
extended stage a little bit, only because there's the poles there that are there for like retrofitting and stuff.
Right.
But otherwise, I mean, they're just really cleaning it up. But I wouldn't say they're drastically changing anything at all.
No,
Right.
I went to a show there in February, and literally my brother and I were standing kind of like in the back area, and I just on my phone I just did a search for the Mab, and I think I found a photo of Henry Rollins with Black Flag, and like I looked and the walls are exactly the same. Like I was like, okay,
Nice.
this is it. It like I literally held my phone up, and my brother and I looking at the photo, and it's like, yep, this is the exact same spot. You can like perfectly like lined it up and see the image of like, okay, this is the same stage. I mean, like it looks amazing in there. I mean, and even like I went back there a couple weeks ago. They've already like cleaned up and added to it. And then the guy I was booking the show that night, he took me upstairs because I was like, I always want to see On Broadway. I've never been to On Broadway, so he took me upstairs. And they had like they were doing ballroom dancing upstairs. It was like a class or something, but the stage was there, and I guess Fane just played there recently. But it was like awesome, like it looks gorgeous, and it's like it's ready for shows as well. So it's amazing between the Mab and On Broadway. Like this part of San Francisco is ready to host shows again, and perfect timing considering like what the Parkside's going through and Bomb of the Hill. So it's like just music, just in general.
That is true.
Having that venue,
That's
you
real.
know, cool.
I didn't think about that.
It's cool too because you know the original owner Ness. It's his sister who has reopened it, right? So she was brought up with that history and that lineage. Yeah. So she's adhering to that thing. She really understands. I had a conversation with her and she's like, yeah, you know, I want to make this place available for young bands to cut their teeth like you all did. Yeah. You know, something that people don't understand really in the new bands is that the Bay Area metal scene and punk scene was built on Monday through Thursday.
Yeah.
Right. That's when the clubs were letting us all, you know, cut our teeth, and now it's like Friday and Saturday. It's the only time anybody can play, and that's a thing. So she's like, I really want to make the venue available for younger bands who are willing to do that, and you know, come from the lab to the stage, and hone their skills and get that vibe, whether there's 15 people there or not. You know, the Ruthies experience, you know, the lore of that is that it was a packed house every night. Wrong. We all cut our teeth to the other bands and about 22 people on a Tuesday
Which
night.
is important. That's important. You got to do that. You got to learn how that feels.
That's how you learn
character building.
Play in front of 20 people and give the same show as you would in front of 40,000 people.
That's right.
You know, a big part of Norman Skinner's thing for me and Craig was that every time we saw Norman play, no matter if it was Toots Tavern or wherever, the guy was delivering a 40,000 person show. And that's how you become a consummate professional and deliver the goods every time. No demoralized, oh, there's 10 people here, I'm going to phone it in. You know, you go hard from go, no matter what, because you're creating moments, right? You change somebody's musical experience for a night and you've done your work. You know?
And doesn't that go back to, I remember when we talked to you guys at Aftershock last year, and I've heard you guys talk privately about this. That was so fun. That was fun. We caused a little backstage problem because again, we were just like chatting with our friends and all of a sudden we had a crowd around us. I was like, oh boy.
We bottlenecked a bunch of interviews that we didn't even realize we had to do.
It was awesome. I love it. I love it. But I remember you saying something like, you guys didn't just go for the cash grab. You didn't just like decide, all right, I'm going to pull these people in and we're going back and we're doing Forbidden. Like it really was meaningful and you did it for the right reason. And isn't that the case when you're playing to a room like that it's not about the 10 people or the 40,000 people. It's like you're really performing for you, your brothers, your sisters, whoever that really care. And like the why is deep down,
Right.
Is that valid to you?
100%.
I'd like to take that one because if you're a Forbidden fan in the first place, just specifically Forbidden, that goes, what you're saying goes across a wide range of everybody's got their thing. But if you're a real Forbidden fan, you are kind of like our family and friends. You know what I mean? Because we're more culty, than some other of the bands. Like we're not, some of our albums weren't for everybody. It wasn't just like background music. You had to really listen to it. So for us, that is the mainstay. And it doesn't make it any easier. Stuff is difficult. Like there are hard days. This band's, since its inception with Chris being back in it, we've been through a lot, and we've come through it stronger. But I mean, the alligator skin, even in 3 years we built up, it continues to build because this industry is just so different. So starting for yourself, giving it to your fans, having them be excited about it, and then having this whole new life in the band of writing this new record that people won't really even get to hear for a few more months here, but just the reaction that we're getting from everything, it's paying in dividends that aren't financial, that we're seeing. Like we're laying some seeds out that it give us hope. Like, wow, this might actually get some traction in ways where you wouldn't be able to in any other situation. So it's just it's interesting, and you never know how it's going to all turn out. But we did it for the right reasons to start, and for that, I think it's folding into we're going to be okay.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to see from our vantage point.
Oh, cool. That's great. Because look, it's fill your heart, not your wallet.
That's right. That's right.
And with this band being a startup and coming out of the blue, it's been fill your heart and spill your wallet.
Yeah, as it usually is these days. It seems
the industry doesn't cater to the, like you said, the dividends. You have to go and do it in a totally different way. And there's so many different facets now that old bears like us, we get caught in that bear trap for life, and we're lifers. But then you don't have the teeth to chew your own paw off to get out of the trap. So you have to say, okay, we're in it now. How do we maintain the value and the production and the quality that we want to present as our art? And that all comes with a cash amount, right? So it's been challenging, like Craig said, but we're grinding through. We're just grinding through, finding our right position with booking agents, management, legal, accounting. Because you get in that position where you're a tweener, right? You can't just do the small thing and show up with a half cab and a drum set.
Yeah,
you get to that next size venue, and you got to put a little bit more on stage, and you got to go into scrims and backdrops and everything, and then you go that next level, 1,500 to 5,000 people. So that's a rough zone, right? To navigate.
I've heard a lot of people talk about that.
Yeah, if you amp it up each step, you've got to acquire more assets to present your art.
Well, I was going to say, Craig, for this time around for you, because of the many eras of the band, I guess you could say it's kind of like this is the third era of the band since it's.
Are you referencing Taylor Swift in a Forbidden conversation?
A little bit, just a little bit.
This is their era.
But I don't know nothing about that Taylor Swift. I can't comment on that.
But it feels like it's interesting. I guess I'm curious from a strategy standpoint, but like, do you feel like you have this the most control you have the band and like controlling your own destiny and how you want to put the band out there? Because it feels like you're being very strategic on when you play, where you play, how often. It really seems like, I'm trying to think the right words to say it. It just seems like
there's a lot of thought and care into it.
Yeah, a different approach to this, and it's. Do you feel like this is maybe the most challenging, or maybe what's the right word? Like maybe a little bit easier because you kind of know what your worth is, and so it's kind of easier to pick and choose your battles of how you want to go out there and perform when you want to perform.
Yeah, I could say yes to all of those things.
Okay.
Like certain things are easier, certain things are harder. There's more of a challenge, but yet there's more wisdom to couple with the challenge to apply in situations that make it a little bit more, palatable to survive it. But I mean, the same problems exist. Uh, in just being in a band, and are you overplaying, are you underplaying,
Yeah.
are you being paid as much as you should be for the amount of people you're pulling in, are you doing this, are you doing that, like those are things that are always there. But what you also have in today's world, um, that you cannot avoid, is the fact that the only way to make money in the music industry is with live shows and merchandise and marketing and all the things. I mean, you can potentially make a few bucks with your record, and but it's really just pennies to the dollar compared to what it used to be. And you don't want to come across like an old fogey because Spotify has been ripping you off, and you're not getting a billion plays to get paid,
Yeah.
$7,000. But I mean, quite
That's very
frankly,
real.
that's very real. And and I don't think we should turn this conversation into all that, but I do think that it applies to everything that we have to do moving forward, how we go about, the plan of attack, and overdoing it and burning ourselves out and overexposing ourselves at home and stuff like that. It's not good. It's just not that. So it's been 2 years since we played in the Bay Area, and it just worked
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
that way. We would have played
Okay.
6 months ago or whatever if Norm wouldn't have had the surgery. But
Mhm.
it worked out better for us. We got our album completely done.
Mm.
We went in and recorded an album that I think you talked about control. I think the one thing for me personally is I have less total control because I have more involvement from everybody in the band. So for
Okay.
me, I actually have more partnership, and we're all in this ride together, and it makes a
Okay.
Mm.
way stronger product from looking at it like the rear view. Now that what we recorded and the way people are reacting to it, it's like it's
Okay.
just a better. It's not a all the musicians that were ever in Forbidden were always great, but
Mhm.
Yeah.
maybe they didn't have the drive to commit from front to back to beginning to ending to do, it's hard
Okay.
to do, man. And
Yeah.
especially in the dark days of metal that were the 90s,
Yeah.
where we were all really like nobody cared. So it's
Yeah.
just it's a better version of things in a worse business like climate for things.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
two things can be true, 10 things can be true, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's my answer to that.
I think it's an interesting time in the music industry. We are seeing festivals like Aftershock do really, really well. And, there's been specifically a lot of metal representation there over the last couple of years. But as a general rule, like live music is struggling, like the blue dot thing that's happening right now. And there's just so many problems to be had. But I keep seeing specifically this week, Huey and I were talking about this the other day about rock being back, right? Like that's like the new tagline, rock is back, which by the way, I see Gene Simmons on your shirt. I won't make any comments about that because rock's not dead, but rock is back. So okay, so two-part question here. What do you think about the idea of rock is back? And then B, how do you define what rock is in particular?
Well,
Take
Because I
that
think
look,
people
first.
have different definitions.
yeah, well, I'll quote Billy Joel. It's only, it's still rock and roll to me, right? So punk
Mhm.
rock, metal, um, and then we started getting into hair metal, and then you got groove metal, and then you got new metal. And to me, music has been like a mirror that's been smashed on the ground, and people grab these slivers out and say, "I'm
Okay.
Mhm.
into industrial grindcore pop metal
Yeah.
or whatever,"
Yeah.
right? And so the fragmentation to me, I don't, it's just like with weed, right? Every fucking kind of weed has a new name. It's champagne crystal grape, or it's like, no, it's sativa and indica, right? And then
Mhm.
there's
Mhm.
strains, but like everybody has to give everything, especially it branding and all that, right? So I
Right.
think the reason rock and metal, for instance, has been so tried and true and refuses to die is because it's truly a culture, not just a trend, right? So
Yep.
what I call the Ozfest experience, right? I know families where the grandpa was there to see Priest,
Mhm.
the son or dad was there to see Slayer.
Mhm.
The daughter was there to see, Prada. The
Mhm.
the littler sister was there to see whoever, Zombie, right? And
Yeah.
then the littlest guy is there to see Slipknot, right? So
Yeah.
you have this generational thing. I did an interview with Mike Muir from Suicidal Tendencies, and during the front of the interview, he was a little like just tripped out, and I went, "What?" And he goes, "I just met six generations
Wow.
of Suicidal fans," and I was like, "Wow!" Like
That is, that's mind blowing.
like, tell me about it. Like, all in flipped up caps and Suicidal shirts from little Mijo all the way up to Grandpa with the big cholo mustache.
Hell yes, that is so
Suicidal in
sick.
81, and so that's the thing, So I think it's the cultural event that maybe doo-wop didn't have, or the psychedelic scene. Sure, it was a drug culture and a whole experience, but it fizzles. This just refuses to fucking die. And then you have American festivals starting to emulate the European experience, and upping the game, right? And
Thank
the
goodness.
challenges here in America is that they don't, in Europe, they get a lot of, government funding. The sponsorship game is a lot different than it is here.
Right.
Okay.
So it's starting to, festivals like Aftershock and Rockville and what's the Daytona? Is that Rockville?
That was Rockville.
yeah.
Yeah.
But they just had Sonic Temple.
Sonic
Sonic
Temple,
Temple.
that's right.
Yeah.
Bourbon and
Those really feel very European in their structure and their whole way they run it. Good bathroom access, great food, great staging, all that. And it's an experience, and it's also an expense. It's hard to do, but it never ceases to amaze me that the thrust of it all is still fucking going. You can't kill this thing. So the Rock is Dead thing, I'm a huge Kiss fan, and Gene has said a lot of shit I don't agree with.
Same.
And me as well.
But at the same time, you can perceive it, right? Like, Craig didn't want to get into it, but for the customer and the consumer needs to audit how they get music. The information is out there. Snoop Dogg finally hit 1 billion plays, and he made about $46,000.
Yeah.
Right? At a billion plays, right? So the old record deal was sell a record, get $1. Sell 1 million, get $1 million. As Ice-T said, I've never seen a pimp that can split up a penny.
Yeah.
And that was strong. That was strong. So I do lay a little bit of the blame of where we're at right now on the consumer. Consumer has to wrap its head back around the passive exchange for art for money.
Yeah.
We
couldn't
give,
agree more.
We give, you give. You wake up to this music. You drive to work to this music. You break up with a girl and cry about this music. You have a life experience. You fall into the music. Well, you have to understand that it's not free.
Yeah.
And to have a water faucet on full blast and just drop your glass underneath it and say the Beatles or Metallica, that's not pulling it off for everybody.
Well, and to add on to that and just kind of circling around, it's like the amount of work. I mean, everyone's got a different work ethic when it comes to creating music, right? Everyone's got like a different way of going about it and how far they dig in. And some of it's rather easy for folks, and others are very elaborate in their process. And, a band like us falls into that category. We put a lot of thought, heart, blood, sweat, and tears into it. And a lot of other bands do too, but we all get the same result. It's like your music is a business card, and here's my card. Want to buy something else? And that's daunting. And so for anybody that's a survivor now, more power to them, because you found you're actually doing it all for the right reasons, and hopefully you'll land on your feet. And it just. What this is why I didn't really want to get into it, but we got into it, and we should probably do it. but it just turns into where some people are offended because they're so used to having everything handed to them. They're like, well,
Mm.
it's just, why shouldn't I get your music for a stream and for free? And just, that's what everything else is. Well, that's because you've been tricked into thinking that that's how it's supposed to be. That's a
Mhm.
lie. It's never been true. It's all now, now it's turned into like your music's in the ether, and it's just a background for a lot of people. Like they don't care. They just want to flip through and flip on. How does that get created? How do you record that? How do what do you do to take the time to put that together? How much did that cost you to do that? How much is the production of that? So it gets it's tenuous to get into this
Mhm.
because people just fatigue because they just like, I'm just used to it. I just want my shit for free. And then when the band disappears, they're like, why aren't you guys doing something? Why don't you come play Wichita? Why don't you do this? It's like, hey man, this is real people life. This is real life shit. So everybody's got to, they do need to take a step back, and there's less money to go around for them as well. Like everyone's got a little less money right now on top of it. So you're very selective about what you could devote your dollars to. So it's
Yeah.
just, there's no easy, simple solution in an economy that's waning, but just people just need to be more aware of what it is that they take for granted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I love diving in and supporting an artist from a place of like the merch. For instance, there's a girl in New Orleans that I'm just crazy about, Johanna Rose, and she plays stand-up bass and she's incredible. I've never met her. I don't know any, she doesn't know me from Adam. But I go on and I'll buy her merch, and I'm rocking her merch in the Bay, and I'm seeing things happen for her. And she actually this week launched a GoFundMe because she's trying to go out and do some really important shows that might like get
Mhm.
her to the next level. And it's because she doesn't make money. Like, unless she's busking on the street in New Orleans, she's not making money. So she's like, if you like me, if you could throw a tenner in this GoFundMe tip bucket so I could keep going, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And so like people
Yeah.
giving her shit about it really bothers me, because I'm like, you're streaming her stuff for free. You can't
People are
throw her a 10
spoiled.
spot. Like,
People are
you're
spoiled.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just so aggeaggravating to see that kind of attitude.
I'm
How
It
gonna
is.
dare
throw
you
you
ask
guys. I'm
for
gonna
a
throw you guys some
support?
flowers right now, and this is real talk. Like this version, this with you two. Uh, I mean, we've been listening to the Bone and radio stations for a long time. There's been some greats, but you two are so boots on the ground, so supportive of the acts in the Bay Area. It transcends beyond radio personalities hanging out. Like you
Yeah.
guys are
Thank you.
definitely
Thank
fighting the
you.
good fight, and it's really cool. And there's been others as well, but like I go back to this climate where we are now. We need more of that instead of less of that. But everything's so corporate. It's you guys doing it is really like a zebra, amongst everything else. You guys
That
stand
means
out
so
for doing
much.
that.
Means more
Yeah.
than
It,
just that
I,
you notice and that you care, that we care.
Uh,
You
that's
know
why
what I mean?
I mean that's why we're doing this interview, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
essentially it. It's because you guys support the artistry and the struggle that it is, and there's not
You get
enough
it.
people
Yeah,
willing to
you
fight.
get it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The radio has faced Clear Channel and
yeah.
the vanquishing of the fucking real DJ, able to make moves and and
Yeah.
do what they want and fucking play this, play slot that, fucking we're playing this song 4 times in a row, like that kind of stuff, that's what propelled the industry, Um, and so it's so important that you guys are doing everything you can. I love how Craig was saying climate, right? That you invented a really cool word, right? So it's climate and format, right? So
Yeah.
that's fucking awesome.
And fucking climbing the little like ladder, right? Like
And
pushing as
climb,
hard as you
right?
can all the
There's
Exactly.
time.
there's
Yeah,
a
and you
B
guys
there's a
do it.
B in that word.
Climb
Climate.
at. Yeah, I heard it. I know exactly what you mean. I was following
And so
totally.
Well,
in that, you guys really are so important and so integral in the progression of our culture. And
I really
thank
appreciate
you so
that.
much.
I was gonna say no. Thank you for saying that, because that means a lot. Because we're grinding, and sometimes we wonder, does anyone notice the work that we're doing? And
Sometimes you feel like you're screaming into the void.
or you just like, as you said, you're just throwing your stuff out in the ether, and it's like hopefully someone's paying attention, caring about it, and it's like
Yeah.
we're
Right.
busting our ass like I'm doing stuff late at night. It's like, hopefully people are paying attention. Because I will say this, because you're talking about the climate of radio, like August will be 21 years for me at the Bone. And so I came in, summer of 2005, and those first couple years, that was kind of like, I got to experience kind of like what radio used to be or feel, or how our community or culture accepts radio or uses the radio, the power of it.
Yeah.
And it was amazing, but I was like such a low man on the totem pole. I will say this, with Chasta being program director over these last few years, this has probably been my most fun working with her and most creative time than ever before. Like, and this, but at the same time, this is the most challenging time to work in radio,
because it's all on us.
but it's like, like her and I were like, okay, it's like you got your foundation of being on the air, playing the songs, the breaks, doing all the old school stuff that comes with it. But then it's like, okay, what are the other platforms that we need to worry about? Social media, podcasting, YouTube, going to show stills, interacting with people, recording interviews, chopping up stuff for social clips, like all that stuff. Like I said, this is most creative, most fun I've ever had working at the Bone in 21 years.
That's great.
Because of the freedom Chasta has given me and given other coworkers. Like it's amazing. But now it's like, I appreciate, because we're able to do stuff with you guys or do stuff for other bands that we like and care about. And so it's such a catch-22, because it's like, I got to experience the old school radio world, and like, I wish I could have done all that stuff back then, but then would I have the same fun I'm having now? I don't know. It's such a crazy rabbit hole to fall down and think about how
it goes both ways. I mean, that's what we're faced with, you know?
Yeah. I was just sitting there thinking that. I was just like, man, same problems, same.
Yep.
Yeah.
I saw this guy talking about painters, right? And he goes, could you imagine Rembrandt being told that he has to be a TikTok ghoul?
Yeah.
And could you imagine, Steven Tyler being told that, he had to do the YouTube and the pod and all this extra stuff,
Yeah.
And what we're all faced with, these multiple levels of grind, it's daunting, and it's a bear that we're having to wrestle, I like social media. I think social media is a reflection of us. It's a tool, much like cocaine. It exposes your real self. And at that same time, your real self might not be a great fucking thing to put out to the world, right? And
that's so well said.
Right? And so, that's the thing. Not everybody is built for it. You have someone like Neil Peart, no interviews, no meet and greets.
Super private, right?
Super private. And that's being like almost erased from, you have to adjust your entire personality and what you're comfortable with just to exist now. The art,
but also Neil had the luxury of being Neil by the time all this came around. If you're like trying to make it, you don't really have a choice to do that. Like, what I mean? If you're trying to be of a certain level in any kind of entertainment industry, it's part of the gig. And it's hard, and some are harder than others. I mean, every time I log onto Facebook, I'm reminded why I hate the format. I hate the platform, but because there's a lot of political shit, and there's a lot of there's just a lot there, and it's
a lot of noise to filter through.
You still have to like find the good, right?
Yeah.
You have to find it.
Yeah.
It's algorithms have taken over too. I mean, it's literally like it goes to where the algorithm decides your subconscious wants you to go.
Yeah.
You don't even have much of a choice anymore unless you completely change everything about the way you view something. So that's true. That's another problem to get into.
I know. That's like,
I don't know.
That's a whole nother. Let's wrap back around to you guys, because speaking of social, when I logged onto Facebook, I was very excited to see the post, and I know there were a lot of people pulling for Jeremy to like be a big part of this. In depth, I know, right? Definitely, so excited.
Yeah.
And this is his first like hometown gig, right? With the band's like officially done.
Yeah, we did. We did after. He did Aftershock and crushed it. I had a couple people say, "God, I could not take my eyes off of that guy because he was so excited." And
he wasn't even in the band yet.
I know.
Right.
Yeah, he was just filling in that day.
Still a fill-in, right? But his exuberance, his childlike Jeff Spicoli kind of energy. You know, our band guru and mentor, George Edwards from Sound Image, he said, you know what I love about Jeremy? Jeremy's like a kid that realized that Forbidden is an endless supply of his favorite root beer candy. You know, it's like, and that's great because Craig and I can get fucking so focused and so detailed and granular in the minutia that it can suck the energy and the oxygen out of the fucking room.
So he's a really great balance for you guys.
Yeah, he's perfect balance.
I don't know, man. Sounds fucking great, or just some cool little thing, you know. Arms raised in a V is underrated. You know, where you're sitting there going, "Oh my god, is that right?" And then you turn around and he's just like, "Oh my god!" And it's like, yes, there.
Yeah. If anyone deserves a break, you know, it's Jeremy. And this spawned months ago talking to Tim Narducci on the phone.
Yeah.
You know, he plays them in the Watchers, and Tim was like, "Yeah, man, if you know of a bigger gig or something, you know, because you know he deserves. Because we don't do anything, and the Watchers don't play much, and we just once in a while." I'm all, you know what, dude? I might have an opening for him with some dates because of conflicts with Dan from Voivod, you know, being in Voivod. Like I might. He said, "Well, I wasn't really thinking about that." I'm like, "That's his best. Trust me, bro. This is his best opportunity to shine in situational stuff." So that's what we got him in originally, just to sit in for Dan for stuff that was too difficult to do. But what ended up happening is we did the show here at Aftershock, and that went over like gangbusters because. Just you know, and it was great with Dan. Trust me, he's the greatest guitar player I've ever like sat in, and Jeremy's right there with him. But trust me, Dan is like on some other universe, but he's in Voivod. He's in Voivod.
Yeah.
So
once
Martyr, but Martyr never leaves Quebec. There's the difference. Martyr will never leave Quebec.
Right.
That's their thing. They stay at home. So, but to make a long story short, we did right after that we went to Columbia and did a festival, and you know Chris was already saying, you know, we should really seriously consider, you know, thinking about him being the guy. But then as we were playing the show, I looked over to my right and I'm like, man, he's having the time. He's like, this is so fun, and then you know, just hanging out with him after the show, and then on the airplane, I didn't even say this to anybody. I was just looking up and down the aisles, and I was looking at him, and I was like, this has got to happen now because Dan's gonna eventually, it's gonna just come to where he can't do anything. You know, I'm like, this has got to happen right now. And we came back and we got on our band meeting, and I think it was, I don't know, maybe Chris can remind me, but towards the end of the meeting, I go, oh, and by the way, this Jeremy thing's got to happen right now because this is too good, and he's too good, and then we can just start running into finishing this album with him and not sending stuff back and forth to Dan, and it just makes all the sense in the world. It was like, it wasn't an argument. It was like, yeah, that's a good idea, yeah. And Chris probably said, "I told you so," but it was like, you know, you have to go through the succession to find the perfect like thing. And he is the perfect thing for Forbidden. He deserves anything he gets. His flowers that he's going to get. He helped write 4 of the songs with me at his house. We finished like the back stretch of the album, which is 4 of the most exciting ones on the album. Like there's just an energy, and we just did all this work together that made everything. It was most similar to me to like working with Tim Calvert in the earliest days, when it was all fun for Tim and it was fun for me. It felt fun again. And that's no knock on anyone. That's just what a new chemistry in the picture could do.
Just freshened it up for you. Yeah.
And, you know, another great bonus is that he's a producer, he's an engineer, he's a fucking drummer.
Oh, that's right.
I've never been in a band with a drummer.
Yeah.
Who can make great suggestions and has great ideas on that end, you know. He's really set me up for success with his demos and stuff, because when he does drum programming, he knows
what he's doing.
It's what I would do. Like, he has this intuitive vibe of like, I know what Kontos is going to do. He'd probably drop to tribal drums here, and then on the demo it happens, and I'm all weirded out. I'm like, whoa, that's exactly where I would have gone.
We've talked. I told this to Chris. We had deeply talked about all that shit, like how Chris plays and where he's going to do stuff. And before anything was even sent, we were mapping out what he might do, and then he'd correct us. He'd be all, "No, I wouldn't do that there." So, but the thing is, Jeremy's so good at a drum machine and knowing what each hand is doing. Like, and you can't do this over here while you're fucking up, your hands over here. Like he would stop me and go, "Well, I don't think you can really do that." So it was like
guitar players.
Perfect.
Guitar players tend to do what I call octopus arms. You've got the crash cymbal, the ride cymbal, and the hi-hat going. You can't do that, but he doesn't do that. So when we had him in the band, we followed Metallica's lead and we did it Forbidden's way. So we cut him a check for $1. And said, "Welcome to the club."
I love that. That's freaking great. That's so awesome. It's gonna be really cool.
Sorry
to
about my
see
dog
him,
barking. I think
it's all good.
I'm dropping something off at the door, so I'm gonna ignore.
As long as you don't have an intruder, we're good.
She'll
so Craig, this time around, I mean, you kind of touched on it. Obviously, Jeremy, it's like new energy bringing to the band, and I'm sure every time you have a new guitarist to work with, I'm sure you learn something new. Or I'm guessing working with a new guitarist like Jeremy, I mean, it probably brings something new out of you that you didn't get before from a previous guitarist. So can you kind of touch on just this era? We're talking about eras earlier. This era of the band, the writing process for the band, how's it different to previous eras of Forbidden?
Okay, yeah, sure. Okay, well, first of all, it needs to be said this album was written in 3 phases, right?
Okay.
It was written in a phase where it was just me and Chris sitting in a room and me showing him ideas. Like Divided by Zero was like the first riff I wrote for this record, and I told him this should be the first thing the Forbidden fan will hear. Like this just sounds like what I think Forbidden should be doing. And then we worked that into clay, and we went through that whole process of doing our structural work, and then the other guys coming around and working with their songs, and the majority were written like that. And even when Dan was in the band, Chris and I had those songs put together, and we would send Dan the song, and he would just write parts to what was there, and he wouldn't have any kind of negative input because we know how to arrange. So he's like, "Your arrangements are great." He's like, "There's not." He says, "These are this is a genius." Given him saying, "I don't hear anything that needs to be done to it," is the greatest compliment ever. Like, you're all
okay.
And we did all the songs like that, and primarily with Chris and I writing them, and with some input here and there from Matt and Norm, on arrangement wise and stuff like that. But there's pretty much us, and there's one riff we got from Steve Smythe when he was in the band. But then he had to leave, he had things going on in his life, and we respectfully said, "No, brother, love you," that's when we got Dan. So then when Jeremy comes into the picture, like I said, I got excited because I know I can work with this guy, but I didn't know that. And I got to be honest, I did not know how well I was going to work with him until I worked with him. I wasn't sure. I wasn't really sure if his wheelhouse was thrash metal. Because I didn't really know. I mean, I knew Venting Machine, but I didn't know just how good of a picking hand he had. Like, his picking hand is just as good as mine, and he can do things I cannot do. He's this incredible lead player. He switches in techniques. Like, let me give you an example. Like, he'll anchor his hand for picking like this, and then he'll jump into solo, and then all of a sudden he'll go into Eddie Van Halen, like floating wrist. Like, he'll just float above, like the easy little, like the vibrating wrist thing. And the first time I saw him do that, I was like, Jesus, dude! Like, I've never seen anyone switch so quickly from one technique to the next technique. Usually, it's kind of married together. And so he, as far as writing goes, it was just I had riff ideas, and then we just sort of, it becomes, when it's really good. It becomes, you don't know who wrote that riff anymore because you just did it together. You know what I mean? Like, it just becomes like, I don't remember exactly how all that came together, but man, here it is. And then within a day, we had a song, and then within weeks, we had everything on all mapped out to with the drum machine, like we were talking about with Chris's input and sending him the ideas as complete skeletons so we could actually, so Norm could sing to them, and Matt could work on his bass parts. It was the most complete version of demoing and recording and just piecing things together that Forbidden's ever done. And
Wow.
great regards to Jeremy himself and the way he works and his work ethic and how easy he was. And we don't have tension. Me and him have never once had tension ever about anything, because he's so easygoing, and for some reason that guy just understands me. He doesn't get it. Like, it's really cool because guitar players and me sometimes, because I'm unorthodox, I don't really know shit. I can't really explain to you much about music theory. They have to kind of work their way through my speak, and it could be tough. With me and Jeremy, it's the easiest it's ever been.
God,
I
lightning in a
love the
bottle.
guy.
I love when those moments happen in bands. It's such a great thing to see. When do we get this album? Do we
Yeah,
have
what's the
like
time
a release date?
They do. We're not supposed to really say it, but
I'm like, can we
Okay.
say it?
we'll just say sometime around Rocktober.
Gotcha. Okay.
We're here for it. That's very exciting. Okay, as we get closer, as you announce and everything, please keep us on board, and we'll make sure that we're doing everything on our end that
Absolutely.
we can. We're so excited. It's been a long time coming. I mean, your journey, it's been a lot of ups and downs and around the corners and flipsy doozies on roller coasters and whatnot, but you have landed in such a beautiful spot with great humans making great music. And that's just there's no better thing for us to see, I mean, that's why we do what we do, is to see this moment happen.
Yeah.
So, really rad. Are there any tickets left for Great American Music Hall?
Yes.
Yeah, there'll be some tickets. I think it's getting close. I mean, I'd get there early if you're going to go tomorrow. Just try to get there early.
And here's the kind of a caveat to that. Okay. There is a knockoff on what they will be selling at the door because of the previous cancellations. The 2 cancellations. If you bought tickets to those shows that got canceled, those will be honored, right?
Oh, okay.
Right? Yeah. So those tickets will be honored, right? So the house has to. They have that number that they have to reserve for potential tickets have been sold already, right? So that's something we've been doing, is reminding people, yes, those tickets are valid for this show.
Okay, so if you already have a ticket from the previous, that is valid. And if you want to go, you need to get there early to make sure you can get in the door.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think I heard last night. There's not many, but there's enough to get there early and get your tickets.
Don't sleep on it.
It must be said, we're sandwiched. In between the show tonight with Sepultura and Exodus, and then the Exodus all of a sudden dropping into the Mabuhay. But our tickets are sold already, so that it's all going to work out for everybody. But what a 3 days of metal, jeez!
Right, it all turned into a festival weekend here in the back.
I was hanging with Wayne from Hatebreed last night at the show we were at, and he's like, "Am I going to see you again this weekend?" I'm like, "Yeah, probably." Because we were going down the line. And he's like, "Yeah," he mentioned, Sepultura, Exodus tonight, and then you guys Friday, and then Exodus again at the Map on Saturday. But so it's like, we'll see each other again. So I'll see you in a couple days or whatever it's been. So Wayne, awesome, dude.
Wayne's great, man.
Dude, how awesome! Hatebreed on the Punisher on a Disney Plus TV show. How incredible that is!
Cool,
actually, Chris, I just want to ask you real quick your thoughts on, since obviously your time in verbal abuse and your history in the hardcore punk rock scene. Your thoughts on hardcore, so mainstream right now. Hardcore is kind of everywhere right now.
Yeah, it's just a trip. It's a trip.
Okay.
Just there's again so many fragments of hardcore, but I just think it speaks to the guerrilla nature of hardcore. Warehouse, backyard, anywhere there's electricity kind of mentality that you can do it, and so the vigorous attack, I just think that that scene just amplified its accessibility. And it's showing in the popularity and the explosion of it. And and then fuck those pits. What the fuck? And there's a massive influx of women in that scene. Yeah. And a massive influx of women in the metal scene. Yep. And I think this has also amplified the vigorous attention paid by everybody else. It's a good thing to have women involved in everything in life,
Mhm.
and to have their power and their strength there. So that's something that really is like, I've just been tripping on the festivals in Europe. It's like not a sausage fest anymore.
Yeah.
In a,
I'm glad to hear you say that, Chris, because that's a
in a
battle I
great
fought
way.
for. Yeah, I've fought that battle audibly in a lot of meetings for like 25 years in radio. Like I've heard a
Yeah.
million times there are no rock female fans. There's not an
Oh.
audience for it. You're pushing to the wrong people. And I'm like, no, that's absolutely not true. And it's so
Right.
nice to see like it really being in a large population now. And
Yeah.
my girl, like when they come up to me, there's nothing more passionate than a rocker chick, than a girl who's like living for it. She's in a pit, she's ready to go. It makes my heart bust open. So it's great.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
great.
I'm sure we'll see some of that tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I was going to say, men and women, get your tickets ASAP. Last set, go to GAMH.com, Great American Music Hall's website in San Francisco. Forbidden, Cynic, Doomsday, Cultural Warfare, all at Great American Music Hall in San Francisco this Friday, May 29th. It's going to be
Yeah.
awesome.
And we
May
are
I
going
add that
off.
it's all ages, so you could bring your
Oh.
children,
Bring
you
the
could bring
kids.
your
Yes.
grandparents, you could bring
Yeah,
everybody.
yes. We're going for 6 generations
Gen.
of Forbidden Band.
6 Gen Forbidden.
Yes.
Yes. I love
And
it.
I'll tell you, we are going off. We are bringing
Yeah.
this may be true or not, but I think we are bringing the largest production that's ever been brought into the Great American Music Hall.
I saw Craig mention that on
Yeah,
Facebook.
Yeah, it is going to blow minds. It is Close Encounters. It is going to be the mothership landing in there.
Hell
So,
yes.
So yeah, that's my thing, right? Your ticket price is on stage. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love
Okay.
it. That's quite a sell. All right. Well, we love you guys. My laptop's
you
about to
too.
die. Hopefully it doesn't cut me off. Thank you guys so much. What a wonderful conversation
you.
to have.
Thank you.
Thank
Always
you
a pleasure
guys.
to
We'll
talk
see
to
you
you guys.
tomorrow.
All right. Sounds
Sounds
good.
good.
Mwah.
Bye.
All right, much love.